Welcome to the Bulldog State of Mind podcast, brought to you by the Fresno State Staff Assembly Executive Committee. Here are your hosts, Belinda Munoz and Melissa Norris.
Welcome to a Bulldog State of Mind. Our guest of honor today is Shawna Blair, who is coordinator for major events and staff development in our student involvement office. Over the last 18 years, Shawna has served the Fresno State community, leading students with spotlight events, with Student Union Board of Directors, Vintage Days, just to name a few. Among many hats that she wears, she also coordinates things like Welcome Week, our homecoming, Vintage Days, and commencement. And she was also recognized this year as Fresno City District 4's Woman of the Year. She is a breast cancer survivor who has used her journey and her experiences to educate and help others. And we are incredibly grateful to have you here today to talk with us about this whole conversation of belonging and connection on campus.
Well, thank you for having me here.
So, my first question for you is, we know the research shows that when our students feel that sense of belonging in college, they are more likely to do well academically, to stay and to graduate. So, which makes it pretty easy, which makes it a pretty easy argument for why we do the work that we do for our students. But I think it's important to talk about why it's important for our staff and faculty. Can you talk about why you think it is important for our staff and faculty, and maybe some ways that you find that connection and community at Fresno State?
Sure. Well, one really cool fact of our campus is that we actually have many staff here or faculty that were students. So, like myself, we came and we hopefully enjoyed our experience as a student. I know for me, that's kind of like what helped me find this path in this career. But also, I had such a wonderful time as a student. I wanted to create that experience for future students. And then I really enjoy events. I enjoy getting involved on the campus, which allowed me to meet others, make connections, which actually really helps in what I do for the campus. But with all of that, it's all about, what are we putting out there as individuals, and how are we making the experience better, not only for ourselves, but also for the university. I very much am like, when people used to say negative things about going to Fresno State or being in the Fresno area, I was very disappointed in that. So very much an advocate for Fresno State, and really trying to get people to say, well, why not Fresno State? Or Fresno State, yeah, that's where I want to go. And so really a lot of what I've done over the years is try to create experiences that are kind of getting us to where other universities are, so that they are saying, well, my university does that too. But in general, like for faculty and staff, you want to enjoy where you're going to work. We spend so many hours here in a day. But again, it goes back to like, what am I putting out in the world? How am I treating others? How am I treating my colleagues? But also go out and get involved in different experiences, whether that be simply just by attending an event the university is putting on. I'm constantly trying to attend what I have time for, because one, there's people that put their efforts into that, so I want to support them. But then also, a lot of times it's something that it gives you that break, or they're trying to do something for you. So, go support, be a part of it. And that really helps with just feeling like my campus cares. They're putting this on for me. But the other thing is just, you know, it's just really like, we can't help students or do a good thing for students if we're not happy people and we're not caring about where we're at and what we're doing. I understand I can be that difference maker, whether it be my colleague or it be a student. And what I do with events, a lot of time it has to be student focused, but I really try hard to figure out, how do we include staff? How do we include faculty? They're very much part of homecoming week, vintage days, those type of things. And so where can we do a little bit of extra to include them? One one really cool example is during COVID when we were all working remotely mostly, we still had some people here on campus. One of the things that my team and I do is we come and we decorate campus for homecoming week. So I made sure that those areas of the university where I knew people still were at, especially like Joyal, we surprised them. They came to campus on Monday and it was decorated with little sketches and things we do outside. With chalk and stencils that we have. And then also we used to have to do little check-ins. And so I got the police department to work with me and traffic ops. And so we put homecoming week on the little stickers they used to give us. So, and then we also gave them some stickers to hand out, or buttons, I think it was, to hand out as you were doing your check-in. So we were really trying to think of like, overall, we're having an experience virtually for a lot of people, but those people that are here, what could we still do? So that's just a prime example of like, how can we think different about the experience or everything out there? And again, it's just like, what can we do individually? What can we be a part of? And just knowing how much like your attitude, your what you're bringing every day truly makes a difference for someone. And so, just doing what you can.
I love you talked about kind of some of the small things. And I think you talked about that happiness coming to work because I think that's so big. Our students can tell. If we're overwhelmed, if we're not happy and enjoying what we're doing, they can see that. And so I think there's a lot of power in being able to truly take pride in the place that you work, to give back to that space, and to really enjoy and embrace yourself in that. Now, I know with 18 years on this campus, you have probably built quite a sense of community, I think, here on the campus. Can you talk a little bit about how the Fresno State community has shown up for you during your time here at Fresno State?
Definitely. So, just in general, after making a lot of friendships, I would say connections, pretty much almost anyone on campus that I've worked with in some way, I swear we became friends, So it's just seeing each other at different things and being like, oh my gosh, I haven't seen you in forever. And connecting with them really quick for a hug and a hello, or trying to find, lunch with them or, those type of things. But I will say over the last 2 years where I was diagnosed with breast cancer, made it public at some point, and really were. Um, doing my best to make it through. I made it public because I wanted the story to come from me, but I also had just turned 40, unfortunately diagnosed, and then also realized that it had been in me for a little while. Um, and so a lot of my friends are around the same age, whether I grew up with or some that are here at the university. And then I learned a lot through the journey as well. And so part of it was like, okay, they got to bring some purpose to this. And with this purpose, like we've got to tell others, do their yearly checks, their mammograms, their self checks. So part of it was also that, and through that, the university supported me in so many ways. I wasn't expecting anything from anyone, and really just letting people know what was going on because I'm very much in a public position or have to deal with a lot of people on campus. And so, really getting them to understand what I was going through. I was going to look different. I was not going to be available like in person very much, just a lot of different pieces. So, that they would have an understanding of that and really work with me, whatever it might be. And so, first of all, my office was very, very supportive. They made sure, and the university made sure, like I could work remote through all of that. My staff did a really good job in our office of just supporting me by going to things and being my person wherever needed. But in general, I did have to go through chemotherapy first and then some surgeries. And every step of the way, they were cheering me on. They were supporting me via text or whatever I needed, they helped with. And then along with that, with the university, I came to campus a couple days here or there to pick up some items, whatever it might be, and people would find out, and so all of a sudden a gift would appear at my door when I came back from a restroom, or all of a sudden some people were there with a basket of goodies, and just things like that, or just people reaching out in general, whether they had someone that went through it similar or just like we're here for you, any of that. And so it just really made the difference. I even had all the way from, I had a vice president reach out to me, which I was like, oh my gosh, like a vice president's reaching out to me. So that just tells you like this campus, I, c- I could have made it through. I would have made it through. That was my mindset. I was going to fight this and I was going to make it through. But the support that I got from this university, no matter what I needed or just the love, it goes to a whole nother level. There's so many people that have gone through the same type of experience and they didn't have the same support, and it wasn't as easy. Like, yes, what I went through was very uh scary and not the best thing for someone, right? But with all of the support that I had, I never had a doubt that I wasn't going to make it through, or that someone didn't care for me. So yeah.
Wow, sorry, thank you for sharing that. It's quite amazing because I don't know why but it was the small things
Mhm.
that really made the biggest difference for you.
Oh,
It
definitely.
was the, stopping by and saying hello when they saw that you were there and letting you know that they missed you. And so I'm so happy that you had that type of support on campus. So, our next question. We are so grateful for your willingness to share your story. We really are. Um, can you talk a little bit about how you personally pushed through and made space for your mental health and wellness during these difficult times?
Sure. Um, I mean, when I was first diagnosed, I had already been dealing with some other health issues, got that somewhat resolved, and then literally got told that I had breast cancer as well. But basically, God works in mysterious ways. I had to have a surgery right before being diagnosed, and some things got canceled and then rescheduled and all this stuff. But it allowed for me in between all of that to get my mammogram and ultrasound, which ultimately helped me, find out my diagnosis. Um, and so it just all worked out, really well. But then basically, when I got told I was diagnosed, I couldn't go and see the team of doctors I was gonna be sent to for like 2 more weeks, because I had my surgery during Thanksgiving week. And then the doctors only meet on Mondays. So the day after my surgery is when I was told about the breast cancer. And so basically, I was like, all right, well, I need to focus on healing this right now so I can battle that. And so basically, I just was like, okay, like, I can't let my head get too far ahead of me, um, because I didn't know enough, and then that's when we spiral and things get really, really scary. So I focus on healing from my gallbladder surgery, and then from that, I like positivity as much as possible. I like quotes. So I bought me a hat that said warrior and had the breast cancer ribbon on it. I bought me some shirts that kind of were related to that. I started doing some research so that as I was talking with doctors, I could figure out, does this make sense to what I was seeing? Does this seem like the right path? Because it is very scary once you hear the C word. And then just in general, like during from diagnosis, well, actually, from your mammogram ultrasound, that day they pretty much told me, we think it's cancer. We need to get you right back in for a biopsy. I went out to the car, cried for a couple minutes. I had somewhere to be, so I said, okay, well, we got to go. So, and then, eventually, yeah, being told it was that, then you pretty much just like, okay, like I said, focus on the other and just trying to be positive about what is this journey going to be. And I would just say, like, there's a thing of toxic positivity out there they talk about, but it's whatever, works for you. It's also working through the emotions. Like, cry when you need to cry, be mad when you need to be mad, be happy and excited. Little there were little things about some people complain about their hair. Luckily, I have some back again. But I was going to lose my hair, and so I started to appreciate while I had it, as long as I had it. and just little things, with your life, or simply being able to fight for your life, have insurance to be able to do that, or those type of pieces. So again, really working through your emotions, letting them come, and then recognizing what that is, doing whatever you need to do to work through that, because when you bottle it up, that's when it's much worse. And I've seen other people where they didn't want to work through their emotions, or they just constantly everything was negative, and so that's the experience they had. I mean, I literally went through chemo, and if it hadn't recently changed doctors, I would still be going back there to visit. I was going back still to visit my nurses, and because it was a scary experience, but they made it the best place possible, and then I made some great friends through all of this. And so we created our own support group and all of that, which really was helpful in also making it through. We were supporting each other. We still meet up all the time, and we're able to. They're the only other people that know the same experience, right? And so, really able to just say anything at all, or text them or call them, or I'm having a bad day, or just like um, a funny joke or meme we saw that no one else would get, but they would get. Or sometimes we were just sending stuff to each other because we really wanted to. We're like, oh my gosh, this is so them and their style, or whatnot. And the other thing is, we also went through some grief. We lost. It actually was just the 1 year to a pink sister that we lost. And then recently we lost another one. So we unfortunately weren't lucky enough to not have any of those. So we've definitely experienced a lot. But again, I think the biggest thing is feeling your emotions, working through it, and figuring out what works for you. So and yeah, so I don't know. Hopefully that answered that.
It does, but I have to give a shout out because I remember we talked before this about you briefly talked on positivity and how important that is to you, quotes positivity, kind of having that around you in your environment. And I know you created what you called your positivity wall. Could you share just a little bit about that with our listeners?
In my room where my TV is, that's the wall I tend to like look at, which actually now it's kind of become all of the walls, to be honest. But I mainly had a wall where I put up quotes that I had found, cute stickers and things, just anything that would like make me happy. But then as people gave me cards, I put those up there. My nieces and nephews would send me, or nephew would send me little origami hearts, as well as some little cards and things. So those are all there, and the origami hearts are pretty much all over my room now, depending on where they would fit. So yeah, I ended up creating two walls, and then actually near my bed, I kind of created what I would call my pink wall. So I put some breast cancer more related and pink things, and then now I have a survivor wall. Because I can officially say that I'm 1 year cancer free. And so I have a beautiful pillow that someone made me that says survivor, and that's kind of in that area. And then I have my certificate from when I finished chemo. And then I basically took some pictures and made a sign that talks about being cancer free. I'm sorry, right now I can't remember exactly what it says. But it has that and has the date and everything. So I kind of started a survivor wall. Um, and then going back to like, actually, your nephew became my little friend, and so he sent me a couple drawings. So I have those on my wall, and he made a really cute beach picture that's up on my wall because him and his mom knew how much I wanted to go to the beach, but I really couldn't get there. So they brought the beach to me, gave me a beach book, things like that. And another friend, her daughter painted me a beautiful picture as well, and so that's on one of the walls. So definitely doing that. And there was and then I also just created some keywords when I first started through this. I was like, okay, so like warrior. Of course, some people don't like using that word, but for me, that was like, okay, so warrior, brave, and resilient were going to be my three words for that the journey and the year. And then I also got some little temporary tattoos that were quotes, and would utilize those as well. Kind of change them up per chemo or wherever I was at. And so it was kind of one of those things you can look down and kind of get a reminder, whatever it is that you need.
I think we underestimate sometimes how much our environment impacts our emotional and mental health and well-being in that moment. So I love the positivity wall, and Xander is going to be so excited that you still have that picture posted. So thank you for sharing that. I'm curious, as you think about kind of your journey, are there particular resources or support systems that you really found yourself leaning on when it came to kind of navigating that journey?
Sure. Well, when I was first diagnosed, I only told a few key people before I was ready to really tell, everyone. So a few key people because I knew that they needed to know. They're very close to me, but I would need some of their support to make it through. And then also, when I was first diagnosed, that's really is the crazy time. You're going to so many appointments. And again, I can only speak to breast cancer, but it was like 1 to 2 appointments a week, in at least, and then it's like, "Oh, well, we're gonna start you on this till these other test results come in and, just your genetic results, like, all this stuff." And then 1 minute it was gonna be I was having surgery first, and I was having to make really hard life decisions, well, actually from the whole part, whether it be meds and other things versus the surgery, and then chemo, and then it turned into chemo first after some other test results came. Um, and so basically, I was like, I gotta talk to someone. Like, I can talk to friends. Unfortunately, most of the people that I knew, I didn't know too many people that had breast cancer, but after you get diagnosed, oh my gosh, you start finding out so and so and so and so, or so and so's sister or brother, or not brother, but brother's wife or whatever. And so we had my mom had some family friends, or we had a couple family friends. And a lot of them, their journey looked a bit different than what I was going to go through in the end. And so it was nice though to hear from them and them to say like, we're here from you. We're here for you however you need it. How can we support you? Um, and I also had another contact that I met actually by working at the university here. And they also were like, I'm here for you. But my journey looked a little different than what I think you're going to go through. And so they got me connected to one of their friends who actually spent 2 hours on the phone, never knew me, spent 2 hours on the phone telling me anything and everything I needed to know about the experience, about what they went through, all the way down to, food that you're using and other products and just like losing the hair and just all those kinds of pieces. And so, just to be supported in that way where it's like, let me get you connected to like, I am here for you, but let me get you connected to someone else that's
Talk
going.
about the power of community and connection
Yes.
right there, right? It's like
Yeah.
this connection leads to that one, and it's almost
Yeah.
that domino effect of connection and
Yeah.
support.
So some of that, or just again, people showing up in your life that and doing whatever it is. But then honestly, here on campus, like HR was very helpful. Every step of the way, there were. How do I have to go through chemo? Like, how do I still work through chemo? What are my options? What are my resources? Okay, now I got to have this surgery. Same thing. What are my options? And so HR was very, very helpful on helping me figure out those paths. I needed accommodations, helping me figure out what I could, do, getting me what I needed so I could work remotely. So I just had a great experience with HR and them advising and helping. And then the other thing was I used the counseling services. Uh, it's really sad, but outside of the university, I actually was not able to secure a counselor through a lot of the breast cancer places here on campus or in the community. And so I was just very thankful that we had those resources here and I was able to use it actually during the critical time that I needed it most. Um, because it was like I'm going through being diagnosed, there's all these like I have my feelings, my friends are having their feelings, my parents are having their feelings, like, but I need to focus on me. How do I make it through this? And so they were very helpful. I think I did like 3 or 4 meetings, um, mostly remote, and then the last one in person. And then I started chemo, so I was like, hold off, I'll come back. And then I ended up meeting all the ladies I met through chemo, and one of the girls. Well, we ended up having chemo on the same day, basically, is how we all became friends. But like we always made sure our appointments were at the same time, and we were saving chairs for each other and everything. So So I would say, yeah, like the campus resources, I highly suggest, it's a great service here for free. And then if they need to, they'll get you connected, from there. And I don't know if I could have, that was the one piece I really, really needed in the very beginning. And I was struggling to find it out in the world. And so it was very grateful that that was here. So I would say those are like the main, resources. And then I also am just a patient of the Marjorie Braden Breast Care Center out at Clovis Community and now Clovis Community Cancer Institute. And so being able to utilize them and their resources and things that they were able to provide. So those would be the probably the main resources besides just doing like my own research and finding things out there. So
For sharing that. Um, in reflecting on your own experiences, what advice or recommendations would you offer to our staff, faculty, and administrators for how they can create the sense of community and support for their colleagues?
I think a lot of that again goes back to kindness matters. Just a simple hello, just a simple check-in, how are you doing? Um, you know, really matters. Like, yeah, I had people that are giving me baskets of items that were very helpful and used and needed, or whatever it might be. But even just the like, how are you doing? Or maybe not everyone's going through something like I did, but everybody's going through something in some way. It doesn't matter what it is. Or maybe it's just a really busy, rough week. Like, honestly, I know someone here on campus, they have a big event on Saturday. I was checking on them today and saying, "How are you doing? It's the week of the event, and they told me some stuff and I go, "Well, it sounds like you need to rest a little, and you're stressed a little." And I was like, "How can I help you? Any way I can support you? I'm a bit limited. I'm still recovering and things, but how can I support you?" And so they were like, "Can you just sit down and talk the event through with me and see what I'm missing?" So it's simple acts of just asking and showing that you care. Another thing that I did for this person is they're very, very busy in their role and oversee many different things. The other day after work, I met them and I said, "Here, I created a bag of snacks for you. I know that you rarely get time to actually eat a full meal. I know how that is in my role with what I do. You're going from meeting to meeting, or event days are a whole nother, thing." So I was like, "Here you go. Some healthy, some non-healthy. We all got to have a little fun, right?" And so yes, yes. Whatever you like, it's probably in there. So, just like little things like that. I mean, it doesn't have to be like a whole bag, but it could be, I was thinking about you and I saw this in the store, or I just know today is a really hard day for you. How are you doing today? Maybe there, that day is something in their life. It represents something, but also just being there to like celebrate any type of win. I'm all about the little wins because let me tell you, going through breast cancer and chemo, every little win was a big, big piece. Just like ringing the bell at the end of, finishing chemo. I had a whole group of people there with me that kind of went through the journey. I wanted to have way more people, but it's a little hard. But I think it's like we need to be celebrating any and every little thing. I mean, it could be like I showed up to work today and I'm feeling great and like someone else catches on to that. So I think it's just how do we put ourselves out there? How do we treat others? And really, really kindness really makes that difference. And that can be in so many, different ways. Or it's just smiling at someone as you're walking by, or we all love the Starbucks here on campus or the food places on campus and just saying thank you. Thank you goes a long way, especially if you see a cashier who it's been very busy in there. Sometimes I've done customer service, so I know how it is when someone like is very nice to you or appreciative or, so a thank you goes a long way. And so I think all of those things can really make the difference. And then what happens after that? It's a chain reaction. It brightens someone's day, and then maybe they go and smile at someone else's or says that thank you or whatever it might be. So I think all of that really comes back to, am I excited to come to work today? Am I excited to go to the university? Sure, maybe it's going to be a busy day, but I'm going to see so and so and so and so And you know what? They got my back. They're supporting me. Or again, like, oh, they're going to be at this event tabling and I never get to see them. Yay, I get to see them. Things like that. So again, I think all of that really helps with that belongingness. And then, as Melissa said earlier, I should have mentioned pride, but having your Bulldog pride and your pride for Fresno State. I mean, we have such amazing things at our university. Like right now, the Peace Garden. What other university has a Peace Garden? I don't know if there are any others. And just thinking of what are those pride points of our university that we have that others, don't.
Some things that we don't think about all the
Mhm.
time.
As we wrap up our conversation today, we want to give you a chance for anything else you might want to share with our listeners today.
Sure, thank you. Well, I know this will be played later on in the month, but we're actually recording on October 1st, which is actually the start of breast cancer awareness. So, one, I would just like to say for everyone out there, get to know your body and know what's not right, what's not normal, male or female, anybody. Like, just check your bodies and know what's normal. So, when something is different, something seems odd, pay attention to it, stay on top of it at some point when you're like, nah, this is really something that needs to be checked out, please get yourself into the doctor. So like on the breast cancer standpoint, most of the ladies that I met through breast cancer, they all found it themselves. And so those self checks are really important. So do those once a month. Um, and well, at least once a month, if not more. And then just really like you got to advocate for yourself. To be honest, I'm really tired of advocating for myself, but there's so much that would not have happened in certain instances and still in some certain instances if I wasn't pushing and advocating or staying on top of and calling and checking in. So that would be like one of the biggest things I learned through my gallbladder issues and then my breast cancer is just really like you have to be the person pushing for yourself. And then on the breast cancer side, just for everyone to know, the statistics are 1 in 8 women will get breast cancer. Um, but it's actually on the rise in all women, but especially in younger women under 40. They made mammograms down to 40, but it actually should probably go even younger than that. And the 40 just was recently that they switched it to. And then if you have it in the family, make sure you're, advocating for yourself and saying it's in the family or any type of thing that runs in the family. Talk to your doctors about it. Be getting early screenings. I was diagnosed, and because I did find it somewhat early, I'm sitting here today. I mean, I had to go through a lot of different steps to be officially in remission as of right now, but again, it really is catching it early, no matter what it is that you're going through. Um, and then if you're someone that is a caregiver or a supporter of someone, really just again letting them know through the whole journey that you're there for them, that you care. Um, they may not respond right away, but when they need you, they'll reach out because they know that were true about that. Because sometimes it's like right now, I need to do X, Y, and Z. And then later on, it's like, oh, okay, like Melissa reached out. Okay, I need help with this. And I know she might be available or expertise in this. And because you're really exhausted just going through the appointments. And then once you actually start certain treatments, and so you can only do so much and everything. And so I think it's just like, and some people, they hear about chemo, radiation, surgery, um, and that's when they're around the most. But then the survival part is actually really hard. There's still maintenance meds that a lot of us are on, which bring their own side effects of no fun. And then also, just kind of like, what did I just make it through? Like you finally get a moment to like sit with your emotions and like your experience. And so it's really trying to like, okay, how do I move forward? How do I still do my job? When I don't have the energy I used to. Not only am I older, but I just went through this experience with my whole body. And so it's really like supporting people however you can and knowing it's longer than the initial treatment. And then also yourself saying you need help or asking for that support in certain ways. I know, like, shout out to my office for Welcome Week this year. I just said, "Hey, I really am going to need help on this one day." They all showed up, or I haven't after my surgeries, I haven't gained my strength back yet, so I haven't been able to really do all the heavy lifting and a lot of the stuff I used to be able to just do on my own. So I've constantly had to like ask for help in those ways, which is really hard to do when you're used to like being able to kind of take care of yourself. And again, I've been able to like ask for help, and anyone in my office will, even our student assistants, like anybody, they're willing to help me in any way. So I think the biggest thing is just you know please support the breast cancer all year long, not just during October. Another thing I'm just going to throw out there because it's Pink October is just also anytime, and I would say this is for any organization out there, but like breast cancer, we can definitely use as an example. Everyone throws pink or the ribbon on it and claims it's breast cancer awareness. But if you're going to spend money on something, make sure that that's benefiting an organization that you're aware of. There are some people I'm like, "Oh, that looks really nice. Is it connected to some funds going to something?" So, like this past weekend, uh, the gosh, Jersey Mike's, there we go. I was trying to get the name right. Like, they had a special, and if you bought, 20% went. So I went and got a sandwich to support and promoted it. But that's just a clean example of like, okay, they even identified the organization the funds were going to go to. So basically, I would just say like keeping in mind, and that goes with anything that you're supporting, making sure it's actually going to an organization, of some sort. And then just one of the few last things is in the future, hopefully, we will have a breast cancer walk back here in Fresno. Unfortunately, it has kind of gone away. So hopefully, I'll be working to, bring that back with some other friends and just come out and support when we do and help us make the first one back a reality. And then hopefully, we can keep it going from there. That's why it hasn't come back yet. We could simply do that, but I want to create a structure where it actually stays around, and then also that the funds collected will stay local so we can actually support people local because there's many different ways to be supporting breast cancer patients. And then I lied, one more last thing. I'm here for anybody. My story may be breast cancer, but the whole time I was going through it, I very much was like, there's got to be someone else on this campus that has gone through cancer or something very similar. And unfortunately, I didn't find that till much later towards the end of everything. But just that person you can talk to. How do I talk to HR? What do I ask? I did have someone else that had an experience who I was able to ask a couple of those questions to. Um, and so, but there's got to be, a big illness you're going through or a family member, like I'm here for anybody. For the most part, I will share as much as I'm comfortable with. And then just come use me as a resource or just support.
We appreciate you, Shawna. Thank you so much for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I
Thank you,
appreciate it.
Shawna. We really do appreciate you being here. And I can't wait to see all the great things that you bring out there. So I'm looking forward to the walk and seeing where we go with that. It'd be nice to raise some money from Fresno State to go to such a great cause. So thank you. Thank you for sharing your story.
Well, again, thank you for having me and allowing me the opportunity to not only talk about breast cancer, but in general, like how can we make Fresno State so much better and again, a place of belongingness where everyone loves to be here.
That was such a great story from Shawna. I'm so glad that she was here with us today and sharing such a private story, to be honest with you, because it's really hard when you think about everything that's going on during already a difficult time of COVID, and then finding your people and finding what you're comfortable with. And then on top of that, she shared a little bit about just understanding what was going on with her body. Um, that's so hard when you think about it just from one day to the next. So it was nice to hear her story.
Well, and what a testament to that idea that when you invest in your community, your space, your workplace, how they show up for you. I think we don't always realize just how many people are here backing us and supporting us sometimes until we go through really difficult life situations like that. And then suddenly they show up and it's like, wow, I had no idea. And I think that's such a powerful testament to why we talk about this concept of belonging and connection and building that sense of community here at Fresno State.
In that community or that positivity wall, since the first time we kind of heard about that, it was something that you and I kind of talked about a couple of different times. Like, what a great idea. Like, what I would love to do just to make one of our buildings a whole positivity wall. Sometimes it's just, yeah, I think Shawna also connected on just being kind to one another.
Oh, yeah.
It's been such a trying time over the last, you know, just being back on campus this semester. It definitely started off with a bang. And that sense of being kind and remembering that you don't know what somebody else is going through. You don't know what type of day that they've had. You don't know what's going on at home. And, you know, s- a sickness such as what Shauna was going through with breast cancer, it affects everyone, not just the survivor. And I know during our brief with her, she had talked about her family and, her home life and the support that she had there and trying to be strong for others when they're trying to be strong for her. And um, we have to remember that it just, we, that's another piece of it is that somebody may look completely healthy,
Hmm.
but we don't know what they're dealing with on the other side.
Right. It's just that reminder of those small gestures that we make on a regular basis
Right,
because we don't know what's going on.
right.
And someone might choose to share, they may not. But I think if we take that general rule of thumb of how we interact in our day to day, the
Right.
grace that we give ourselves, but also to the people around us, those can be powerful measures even when you don't know what's happening,
Hmm.
you know?
Yeah. I have my tattoo here for leukemia because my sister went through it. Um, and I think today's just a little bit harder for me because not only, sorry,
Don't
but
be sorry.
here I am doing this, and I do have a funeral to go to later on in the week, and for cancer, so just makes me so happy to see that she had such support on campus. Anyways, back to the whole positivity wall. So we're going to create that. I don't know how we're going to figure that out, but we're going to get
I
that
will back
positivity
you
wall here on
100%
campus
to
somewhere.
find a way to get a positivity wall, building, campus. I mean, it should be everywhere. But
Yes.
yes, I think there's
Yes.
a lot we can do. And those are things I would challenge all of us to think about. What do we do
Yes.
differently in our own spaces? It's not just our own personal worlds, it's our buildings, it's the departments we're a part of, it's the committees we serve on. It's how do we do all of those things in the spaces where we have the ability to make that impact?
Absolutely.
Because our staff are in those positions to do that. And I think we have a campus that supports us
Yes.
in
Yes.
making those things happen too.
Agreed. Agreed. Well, um, we've got a lot of things coming up the rest of this month.
We do.
I know that, homecoming week, as usual, is going to be crazy and full and exciting as usual.
Always. Again, that
Um,
Fresno State pride, right?
right.
Lots of it.
This is the one time that we get 2 Red Fridays in a row, which
We
means we get
do.
to see all of our people 2 Fridays in a row. So
Love
the
it.
we'll have our homecoming Red Friday. That's always exciting.
Hmm.
But then next week we will have, or the following week we will have Veterans Red Friday.
Yes.
And I've said this time and time again, but that's always a special one for me, considering I have a veteran. My daughter's a veteran. I have lots of veterans in my family, so
Love.
it's always exciting to hear them come out and do colors and just the rest of the things that they do. And it's also an exciting time for our community. There's lots of Veterans Day parades and things that are happening in the community. And so I really hope that our listeners go out and enjoy what is happening out there and thank a veteran for all that
Absolutely.
they have done. I just had an uncle come back from the honor flight,
I love that.
and that was an amazing thing to be at the airport when they got off the flight and to hear the stories. And so, very special time for me and my family during
I can only
Veterans Day.
imagine. Yeah, absolutely. And I know we also in November kick off our toy drive, which will be collecting toys to help benefit our Fresno State family. Truly, we want to support our staff and faculty families through the holidays. We know holidays can sometimes be a tough time, so we want to collect toys to help support their families and support our community. Again, connecting to this place that we call kind of our home away from home in a lot of ways.
And the toy drive that we have done in the past has always supported our community, which is a great, the
Yes.
Salvation Army. But the last year, and then again this year, we are doing the toy drive, but it is going to stay here on campus. So we helped out 10 faculty and staff families out of our toy drive last year.
Yes, we
And
did.
then how many students?
Oh my gosh. You're calling into my memory here. It was up there. I can't give a specific number. Maybe we'll have to include it in the comments, but we're able to help a lot of our student parents on campus to be able to provide toys for their families, which is huge.
So this is an extra special toy drive for us here on campus because anything that is donated will go specifically to a member on our campus, whether it's a faculty or a staff member or a student.
No, amazing opportunity to give back. I know I'm personally one that when I know that I'm giving back to my community, it makes me that much more likely to want to give. And I will tell you, having seen some of the faces as they picked up toys last year, it was a very impactful experience. For some of these families, this is what the holidays look like. This is what they're able to do. It allows them to perhaps wrap a present from Santa that they wouldn't have otherwise been able to offer. Um, and that's just a really incredible opportunity to give back. I think holidays is always an incredible opportunity to give back to our communities and make a difference.
So as we wrap up this episode today, we just want to remind everyone that we've kind of mentioned already, but be kind to one another. We don't know what somebody else is going through. Check in with someone. If it is a day that you are just not having, that you're having a day, which we're all allowed to have, take some of that advice that Shawna threw out there. Create a playlist. Do something for yourself. Take a walk around campus and just a nice reflection. So we hope that each and every one of you will take that time for yourself every single day.
Thanks for watching the Bulldog State of Mind podcast. Join us for the next podcast in our series, released each month during our Red Friday celebration and available through our Fresno State Staff Assembly Executive Committee YouTube channel.